For almost 2 decades, Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman have been Hollywood's ride-or-die symbol of lasting love. From the outside, their marriage looks like a straight-up dream. 2 stars at the top of their game. Always smiling, always holding hands on the red carpet. But behind the bright lights and flashing cameras, their story's been packed with quiet battles, deep love, and moments that seriously tested their souls. When they met in 2005, Nicole had already been through heartbreak. Her marriage to Tom Cruise had ended years earlier, leaving her cautious and guarded. Keith, on the other hand, was a rising country music icon. Charming, crazy talented, but low-key struggling with personal demons. Neither of them knew it at the time, but their paths crossing at the Good Day LA event in Los Angeles would change both their lives forever. Nicole once said in an interview, "I remember thinking he was the nicest guy I'd ever met." But what she didn't know was that behind Keith's smile was a man fighting addiction, loneliness, and fear. Their romance moved fast, a total whirlwind of passion and sincerity. Within months, they were inseparable. Keith serenaded her with songs, sent her flowers, and called her every single night, no matter where he was in the world. In June 2006, surrounded by candlelight and friends, they exchanged vows in a romantic ceremony in Sydney. To the world, it looked like the perfect love story. But less than 4 months later, that perfect image started to crack. Keith entered rehab after admitting he was struggling with substance abuse again, a battle he thought he had already beaten. For Nicole, who had just found love again after years of loneliness, the news hit hard. The tabloids went wild, predicting the end of their marriage before it had even truly begun. Yet instead of walking away, Nicole made a decision that would define their relationship. She stood by him. Quietly, no drama, no big show. She flew to be with him, visited him in rehab, encouraged him through the darkness. She told him, "We don't run from love. We fight for it." Those words became the foundation of their marriage. Years later, Keith would confess in an interview, "I was spiritually dead before I met her. She saved my life in every possible way." And he wasn't exaggerating. During those dark months, Keith realized just how deeply Nicole's love had reached into his broken places. He had fame, money, and success. But what she offered him was something he'd never truly had: unconditional love and stability. The years that followed were a mix of triumph and challenge. Keith's music career skyrocketed. Nicole kept winning awards and acclaim. But they made one promise to each other: family always comes first. They split their time between Nashville and Australia, shielding their daughters, Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret, from the blinding glare of Hollywood. In interviews, Nicole often speaks about their marriage in spiritual terms. "We're very close. We talk all the time. He's my home," she said. And when asked how they've kept their bond strong, she smiled and replied, "We never text. We call. We talk every single day." It's that simplicity, real communication, deep respect, shared faith, that's kept them grounded while so many celebrity couples fell apart. But fame will test you, no doubt. There were years when rumors swirled, jealousy, career competition, whispers of separation. Every time, Keith and Nicole faced it head-on, choosing silence over spectacle. "People will always talk," Keith once said. "But Nicole and I know our truth." Then, after 19 years of marriage, Keith finally said what everyone had long suspected: the real secret behind their lasting bond. In a recent interview, Keith opened up like never before. "Nicole is my everything. People think we're just lucky, but love like ours doesn't survive on luck. It survives on work, on showing up every day, even when you're tired, scared, or hurt. She's taught me that love isn't about perfection. It's about grace." He paused, his voice cracking a little. "I owe her my life. Literally. There were times I didn't think I could go on, and she never gave up on me. She saw the man I wanted to be, not the man I was." That confession stunned fans. For years, the public saw Nicole as the strong, elegant actress and Keith as the charming country singer. But his words revealed something deeper: a love built on sacrifice, patience, and redemption. Behind all the glitz and glamour, their marriage survived storms that could have easily broken them. But they came out stronger. Not because they were perfect, but because they were real. Nicole once said, "We're not trying to be anyone's example. We just love each other deeply. That's all." And maybe that's why their story hits home for so many people. In a world where celebrity love stories fade fast, Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman remind us that real love isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. As Keith said with a smile at the end of that interview, 19 years, and I still look at her the same way I did the first time. Maybe even more. When Keith Urban talks about Nicole Kidman today, there's a warmth in his voice that words can barely capture. It's not some instant attraction, flash-in-the-pan kind of love. It's love forged through struggle, sacrifice, and grace. In one interview, Keith said softly, "Nicole is like a lighthouse. When the storm hits, she doesn't move. She just shines." For years, that light guided him through his darkest battles. After rehab, while Keith was rebuilding his career and his confidence, Nicole stood beside him, not as a superstar, but as a partner. She'd attend his shows quietly, sit backstage with a coffee in her hand, and smile when he walked off stage, whispering, "I'm proud of you." Those small moments, totally invisible to the cameras, became the real foundation of their marriage. Nicole had always longed for a family life far from Hollywood chaos. Growing up in Australia, she was grounded, spiritual, deeply connected to her faith. When she met Keith, she looked past the fame. She saw the wounded artist, the human being behind the spotlight. And that's who she fell for. Their love language? Simplicity. No flashy gifts. No over-the-top public declarations. Just handwritten notes, long phone calls, quiet mornings with their daughters. Keith once shared that Nicole leaves him little notes before he heads out on tour. Sometimes they're playful. Sometimes they're emotional. But they always end the same way. "Come home safe. We love you." In a world where celebrity relationships crumble under pressure, Keith and Nicole built their home on trust, solid and unshakable. Early on, they agreed no role, no concert, no award was worth losing what they had. So they set boundaries. If one of them was filming or touring, the other stayed home with the kids. It wasn't always easy. It meant turning down major projects. But for Nicole, it was worth it. "I've done the same thing," she said. "Now I want love, peace, and my family." Keith understood that. He often credits Nicole for grounding him, not just emotionally, but spiritually. "She brought me back to my faith," he said. "She helped me reconnect with who I am." Still, like any couple, they've faced challenges. Fame tests even the strongest love. Long distances, crazy schedules, gossip, it all adds pressure. But every time rumors popped up, they laughed it off together. "We've learned to protect our bubble," Nicole told Vanity Fair. "We don't let the noise in." Their bubble, that's what they call the sacred space around their family. Not isolation, protection. Their daughters, Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret, sit right at the center of that bubble. Keith and Nicole rarely post photos of them, choosing to give them a childhood untouched by fame. They go to school, play in the backyard, travel with their parents, but always as a family, not as celebrity kids. Keith once said, "My greatest joy is being home cooking pancakes for my girls with Nick dancing in the kitchen." Picture that. A superstar musician flipping pancakes while his Oscar-winning wife hums along to music. That says it all. They're not trying to impress anybody. They're just trying to keep it real. In 2018, when Nicole won a Golden Globe for Big Little Lies, she walked on stage and the first person she thanked wasn't her director or producer. It was Keith. "When my cheek is against yours, everything melts away," she said tearfully. The audience cheered. But for them, it was just another reminder of what they'd survived together. Keith's eyes filled with emotion that night. Later, he posted a simple message. "You're my everything, baby girl." That kind of devotion doesn't just happen. It's built day by day, choice by choice. And after 19 years, those choices have defined their love more than any Hollywood script ever could. When asked what keeps their marriage alive, Keith smiled and said, "We never forget gratitude. Every day I wake up and thank God for her." Nicole, on the flip side, often talks about how Keith brings joy and music into her life. "He reminds me not to take things too seriously. He's the reason I laugh every day," she said. But maybe the most powerful thing they've shared is vulnerability. Keith has openly talked about his addiction, his fears, and how Nicole's patience gave him strength. Nicole has spoken about her insecurities too: motherhood, aging, balancing fame and family. Their willingness to be honest, to admit imperfection, that's what makes their story relatable. Friends say Keith and Nicole are soulmates who actually put in the work. They don't just love each other. They choose each other, again and again. And that's the secret Keith finally admitted after 19 years. It wasn't destiny. It wasn't luck. It was commitment. People say love is easy when you find the right person, he said. I think that's wrong. Love is easy to feel, but hard to keep. And Nicole taught me that keeping it, choosing it, that's where the magic is. As he said that, Nicole sat beside him, smiling through tears. No grand gestures needed. That look said everything. After all the fame, the music, the awards, what really mattered was something simple. A promise made 19 years ago that still stands strong. I will stand by you, no matter what. And they both have. As Keith Urban approaches 2 decades of marriage to Nicole Kidman, he's not the same country star who once hid behind fame and fear. He's softer, wiser, more open with his emotions. A man who knows the gift he's been given. In a candid interview with People magazine, Keith reflected on how love changed him. When I met Nicole, I was running on empty, he admitted. I didn't know what a real relationship looked like. She taught me patience, forgiveness, and what it means to feel safe. That word, safe, hits deep. For Keith, safety wasn't about fame or fortune. It was about finding a home in someone's heart. And for Nicole, after years under Hollywood's relentless spotlight, Keith became the one place she could just be. No makeup, no mask, no expectations. When they're together, the world fades. Fans have spotted them walking hand in hand through quiet Nashville streets, laughing over coffee, watching their daughters play in the park. There's an ease between them, an unspoken rhythm only couples who've survived real storms understand. Nicole once said in an Australian interview, "We're two very different people, but our differences make us strong. I'm emotional. He's grounded. I overthink. He plays a song, and everything feels okay again." Keith laughed when asked about it. "She's my heart, and I'm her calm. Together, we make sense." But behind those smiles is resilience. There were years their careers kept them oceans apart. Nicole filming in Europe or Australia, Keith touring across America. Still, they made one rule, never more than 5 days apart. "We made that rule early on," Nicole said. "It's hard, but we stick to it. Love needs presence." It's that discipline, that intentional grind, that kept their bond rock solid and unbreakable. And then came the confession that straight up melted hearts all over the world. During a live concert in 2023, standing in front of thousands of fans, Keith paused right in the middle of his performance. The stage lights dimmed as he leaned into the mic and spoke softly. 19 years ago, I almost lost everything, he said. But then God gave me her. The whole crowd went dead silent. He continued, "Every song I've written in the last 19 years, every single one, is for Nicole. She doesn't even know it, but she's in all of them. Every lyric, every melody, every heartbeat." The audience exploded into applause, but Keith wasn't done yet. With tears in his eyes, he whispered, "She believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself." That's not just love. That's salvation, plain and simple. Those words spread like wildfire across social media. Fans flooded the internet with messages about how Keith and Nicole's story gave them hope, real proof that true love can survive fame, failure, and fear. Nicole, sitting in the audience that night, couldn't hold back her tears. When the show wrapped up, she walked onto the stage, hugged him tight, and said into the mic, "And I'll keep believing." From that day on, that moment became one of the most replayed clips in their history. A rare, raw, genuine display of emotion between two global icons. Since then, both of them have opened up more about what they've learned after 19 years together. Nicole told Harper's Bazaar, "Marriage is not about perfection. It's about choosing love again every morning. There are days it's hard, but there's never a day I don't love." Keith echoed the same vibe. "I don't take a single day for granted," he said. "We've walked through fire and come out stronger. And if I've learned one thing, it's this. Love is the greatest rehab there is." Their story isn't just about surviving fame. It's about redefining what marriage even means in a world obsessed with image. They've proven that behind every power couple headline, there can be real tenderness and quiet acts of grace that never make the news. Nicole once described Keith as a man with a poet's heart. And honestly, it shows. His songs from Blue Ain't Your Color to Parallel Line carry subtle nods to their love, hidden in lyrics only she would fully catch. But it's not just in the words, it's in the moves he makes. When Nicole turned 55, Keith pulled off a surprise party in Nashville with just family and close friends. No flashy Hollywood vibes, no over-the-top glam. Just simple candles, laughter, music, and a piano in the corner. At one point, Keith sang "To Love Somebody" and switched the last line to love Nicole. She laughed, teared up, and kissed him, and for that moment, time basically froze. That's the magic of their love. It's real, imperfect, and deeply human. Now, as they edge closer to their 20th anniversary, both Keith and Nicole talk more about gratitude than glamour. They've seen what fame can snatch away, but they've also learned what love can give back. Keith said it best on a podcast earlier this year. People think love is about fireworks. For me, it's about peace. It's about coming home, hearing her voice, and knowing everything will be okay. He smiled and added quietly, "If there's one thing I've done right in this life, it's loving her." And maybe that's the truth we all kinda knew. Beneath the fame and flashing lights, isn't some Hollywood fantasy. It's something way more rare. A partnership built on forgiveness, laughter, and unshakable faith. As Nicole once said in her calm, poetic way, "It's not the years that matter, it's the moments." And every moment with him is a blessing. 19 years, countless memories, and a love that's become a living testament to what it truly means to believe in someone. Their story isn't over. It's still being written. Every sunrise they share, every note Keith plays, every look Nicole gives him from across the room. Because some love stories don't need a Hollywood ending, they're already living one. As the years roll on, Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman's story has turned into something rare. A quiet, lasting romance in a world that sometimes forgets what real love even looks like. They've never chased perfection, and maybe that's exactly why their bond feels so authentic. In interviews, they don't talk about keeping up appearances. They talk about staying grounded, staying grateful, and staying real. Keith often says Nicole isn't just his wife. "She's my mirror. She reflects the truth back to me, even when it's hard to hear," he once admitted. That's what love does. It doesn't just hype you up. It makes you better. It's that level of honesty that's kept them connected through almost 20 years of fame, distance, and change. A love that grew in silence. In their Nashville home, life is surprisingly low-key. No entourages, no flashing lights, just music, laughter, and family dinners. Keith has a small studio where he writes. Nicole sometimes sits nearby reading scripts or softly playing piano while he works. They don't always talk in those moments. They don't need to. There's a calm rhythm between them, a shared silence that speaks louder than words ever could. So many times, love speaks loudest in silence, Nicole once said. That silence didn't come easy. It came after chaos, after learning patience, after figuring out how to respect each other's differences. Nicole is thoughtful and introspective. Keith is spontaneous and playful. Over time, they realize their contrasts were actually their superpower. When Nicole feels overwhelmed, Keith makes her laugh. When Keith feels lost, Nicole reminds him who he is. "We balance each other. That's our secret," she said simply. Behind every red carpet smile, there have been tears. They've faced miscarriage, the pressure of raising kids in the spotlight, and the nonstop pull of demanding careers. There were moments Nicole admitted she wondered if it was all too much. But every time, Keith reminded her why they started. "We're not just partners in fame. We're partners in life." That mindset kept them grounded, along with their deep spiritual faith. They pray together, go to church when they can, and never forget to say thank you for the life they've built. Keith's mother once said Nicole was an answer to her prayers. "I used to worry he'd never find peace," she said. And then Nicole came along. Nearly every major song Keith has written over the past 2 decades carries a trace of Nicole. Making Memories of Us, Once in a Lifetime, Parallel Line, and For You feel like love letters wrapped in melody. Nicole has admitted that sometimes she doesn't even realize a song is about her until she hears it on the radio. "I'll listen and think, oh, that's us." It's beautiful. For Keith, music has always been the language of devotion. "When I can't find the words, I write a song. It's my way of saying I see you. I love you. I'm still here." At their 18th anniversary, Keith surprised Nicole with a brand new song just for her. The chorus said it all. 19 years, a million miles, and I'd still choose you every time. Through the highs, through the tears, you're my forever after 19 years. Nicole cried while he sang. No cameras, no crowd, Just a husband singing to his wife under candlelight. What they've learned after nearly 2 decades together isn't some secret formula. It's simple but deep. Love is work, but it's worth it. They talk. They listen. They forgive. And most importantly, they keep showing up. Nicole said it best. You can't stay married this long if you're not willing to grow. We've grown together and apart, but always back to each other. Keith once joked, people think we have this perfect Hollywood marriage, but we argue over laundry like everyone else. He laughed, then added softly, the difference is we don't let go. As they look toward their 20th anniversary, both have slowed things down. Nicole chooses her film roles more carefully now. Keith spends more time in Nashville producing, mentoring young artists, and focusing on family. They both say their daughters, Sunday and Faith, are their greatest blessing. We want to raise kind, grounded girls. The rest is just noise, Nicole said. Keith added, if they grow up knowing what love looks like, we've done our job. Earlier this year, Keith made one final confession on a podcast that had fans emotional. After 19 years, I finally understand what love really means. It's not fireworks. It's not drama. It's waking up next to the same person and feeling grateful they're still there. He paused, then smiled. Nicole is the reason I believe in love. She's the reason I believe in myself. Through every high and low, every heartbreak and healing, Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman have shown that love isn't about perfection. It's about choosing each other every single day. And 19 years later, they still do. As the camera fades into twilight, Keith's voice lingers, calm and grateful. 19 years, and every day still feels like the first. It's easy to look at their red carpets and awards and think it's effortless. But real love isn't born in luxury. It's forged in vulnerability. Nicole stood by him when headlines turned brutal. She held his hand when the music stopped and the applause faded, when he was just a man trying to find himself again. And through it all, they kept one promise. No matter what happens, we walk together. That's what makes their story different. Not the glam, not the fame, but the quiet courage to keep loving even when it's tough. When Keith whispered, she's the reason I believe in love, the world paused for a second and felt it too. If you felt that, don't bounce just yet. Tap subscribe, stick with us, and catch the next unbelievable story behind Hollywood's most unforgettable hearts. Because sometimes the realest love stories are the ones we almost never see. As TMA rolls on, fame cools off, awards start collecting dust, and the headlines switch up real quick. But love? The kind that's been tested, cracked open, healed up, and built back stronger? That's the real deal. That's what sticks. For Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman, 19 years of marriage haven't just been about surviving the spotlight. They've been about showing the world what love actually means in a place that forgets it way too fast. Keith always says meeting Nicole flipped his whole life around, like everything wild and messy finally clicked into place. Before her, he admitted, I didn't understand peace. I didn't understand home. And home. That's what both of them had been chasing for a long, long time. Nicole, after years of public heartbreak and feeling alone in a crowd, finally felt safe with someone who saw her not as an actress, not as an icon, but simply as Nick. Just her. No glam, no spotlight, no pressure. The healing power of ordinary days. They're not out here chasing the next big Hollywood headline. Honestly, the best parts of their love story happen off camera, low-key, on quiet mornings. Keith making coffee, humming some old tune under his breath. Nicole reading on the porch while their daughters play close by. That's the good stuff. The real stuff. Nicole once said, fame is loud, but love, real love, is quiet. And that's exactly how they move. Quiet. Intentional. Choosing peace over pressure every single time. Behind all the flash, they're just two people trying to raise good kids, guard their family, and stay thankful for every new sunrise. The gift of forgiveness. If you ask Keith what kept their marriage solid, he'll give you one word: forgiveness. In his younger years, he carried addiction, guilt, and a whole lot of regret. He messed up, hurt people, almost wrecked his career. But Nicole never threw his past in his face. She believed he could change. And that belief, it shifted everything. She didn't fix me, Keith said in a 2023 interview. She loved me while I learned to fix myself. That kind of compassion, steady, patient, unconditional, that's what helped him become the man he is today. And it's the same energy that shapes their life together. Nicole says she admires Keith's openness, his heart on his sleeve vibe. He's never afraid to tell the truth, she shared. Even when it hurts. That's rare. And let's be real, their marriage hasn't always been smooth sailing. There were arguments, misunderstandings, moments when they both wondered if their worlds were just too different to blend. But each time, they chose love again. It's not about never falling, Keith said. It's about always getting back up together. That's grown-up love. No fairy dust. Just choice. The family they built. For Keith and Nicole, parenting has been their greatest collab. Their daughters, Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret, are growing up in a house full of laughter, music, and warmth, but also humility. Even with all that fame, the girls live a surprisingly normal life. School, chores, playing outside without cameras in their faces. Early on, Keith and Nicole made a pact. Our children didn't ask for fame. We won't force it on them. Fans respected that heavy. Keith once said they teach their girls gratitude daily. We tell them this life is a gift. Don't ever take it for granted. And you can see that gratitude in everything they do, from family trips to quiet acts of kindness. Nicole volunteers quietly for children's charities. Keith supports addiction recovery programs, giving hope to people walking the same dark road he once did. Together, they turn pain into purpose. The confession that defined them. When Keith finally said what everyone kinda already knew, that Nicole saved his life, it hit different. Not dramatic saved. Not movie scene saved. Simple. Pure. She gave him reason. She gave him stability. She gave him love. I owe her everything, he said. Not because she fixed him, but because she saw him when he couldn't see himself. The internet went wild. Fans flooded social media, saying their story proves real love still exists. Couples shared how Keith and Nicole's honesty made them fight harder for their own relationships. Because at the core, this isn't about fame or money. It's about redemption. Two imperfect people finding healing in each other's arms. After 19 years, their journey is more than a marriage. It's a message. Love isn't perfection. It's persistence. It's waking up every day and choosing the same person, even when life gets messy. It's talking when it's hard. Listening when it's uncomfortable. Forgiving when it'd be easier to stay mad. And seeing the best in someone when they can't see it themselves. Nicole said it best. Marriage isn't about finding someone who makes you happy all the time. It's about finding someone you can build happiness with. That's why their story feels timeless. It's what everybody wants. A love that doesn't fade when the lights go out. The next chapter. As their 20th anniversary gets closer, they've been thinking more about legacy. Not Hollywood legacy. Heart legacy. They want their daughters to understand love isn't a fairy tale. It's a daily choice. A brave one. Keith said recently, "If one day my girls grow up and say, 'Dad loved Mom well,' then I've done my job." And honestly, that's what it all comes down to. Not the trophies. Not the success. Just loving someone well. 19 years ago, a country singer and a movie star stood under candlelight in Sydney and promised forever. Almost 2 decades later, they've kept that promise. And by doing that, they've shown the world what forever actually looks like. Because in the end, this isn't just about two famous people falling in love. It's about two souls finding redemption in each other and never losing faith that real love still matters. The curtain's almost down. The applause fades out. But for Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman, the real story was never the spotlight. It's in the quiet after. 19 years taught them forever isn't counted in days or decades. It's counted in choices. And every day, they still choose each other. A life of simple grace. Walk through their Nashville home at night, and you won't see flashy symbols of celebrity. No endless trophy displays. No walls stacked with magazine covers. Just a guitar resting on the couch. A half-finished painting by Nicole on the table. Photos of two laughing girls on the fridge. Their home tells a different story, not fame, but faith. "We've built our own little sanctuary," Nicole said softly. "Here it's just us. No cameras. No pretending. Just love." That sanctuary keeps them grounded. Pancakes on a Sunday morning. Faith and Sunday's giggles echoing down the hall. Keith tuning his guitar on the porch while Nicole reads beside him, her hand brushing his arm as she flips a page. They move slow on purpose, like they're protecting time itself. "The world rushes," Keith once said. "We decided not to." The love that changed everything. They never planned to be symbols of lasting love. They just wanted peace. And in each other, they found it. Keith's songs still carry that same devotion that first pulled Nicole in. Every lyric feels like a quiet love letter. When he's on stage and his eyes lock on her in the crowd, there's that look: disbelief, gratitude, all like he still can't believe his miracle stayed. Nicole says she still gets butterflies every time he walks on stage. He's my favorite performer, she laughs. Always will be. Their story reminds us strength isn't loud. It's gentle. Faith doesn't scream. It whispers. Healing doesn't happen overnight. It happens hand in hand. The storms they survived. In 19 years, life tested them hard: long distance, loss, pressure, misunderstandings. The thing that kept them from falling apart? Communication. We talk until it's solved, Nicole said. Sometimes it takes minutes. Sometimes it takes days. But we don't stop talking. That honesty became their anchor. It's why Keith calls her the calm in my chaos. And Nicole calls him the melody that keeps me steady. When critics speculated about their marriage, they didn't clap back. They went home, made tea, and laughed. Because truth doesn't need defending. It just needs living. What they leave behind. As their daughters grow older, Keith and Nicole have started thinking about what legacy really means for them. It isn't fame. It's kindness. It's resilience. It's love that actually lasts. Keith said during a concert in Sydney, "If my girls learn one thing from watching us, I hope it's this: love people when it's hard." Nicole nodded from the audience, tears shining in her eyes, because she knew exactly what he meant. She really knew. They both believe that love is an act of service, not just a feeling. Not just butterflies and vibes. They serve each other in small ways every single day. Coffee left by the bedside, little notes tucked into suitcases, a prayer whispered before every flight. The world doesn't see those things. They're low-key, invisible. But those tiny gestures? They've built something rock solid. An unshakable foundation. The confession that echoed in a recent interview came when Keith was asked how he wanted to be remembered. He paused for a long moment. Like, really paused. Then he said, "I just want to be remembered as a man who loved Nicole Kidman well." That sentence broke the internet for a reason. It wasn't poetic. It wasn't some Hollywood line. It was real. Raw. In a world obsessed with success, Keith chose love as his legacy. Not awards. Not charts. Love. Nicole responded later in a magazine feature with a gentle smile. "And I want to be remembered as the woman who believed in him." Those words complete each other. Two halves of the same heart. No drama. No ego. Just mutual belief. The lesson for all of us? Maybe that's why their story hits so deep. Because it reminds us that love doesn't live in perfection. It lives in persistence. It lives in showing up when it's inconvenient. In forgiving without keeping score. In growing without giving up when things get messy. Keith and Nicole's marriage is proof that even in the blinding glare of fame, love can stay pure if two people are willing to fight for it. They've shown that romance isn't about fairy tales. It's about having faith in each other's flaws. That passion isn't measured in fireworks or headlines, but in the quiet comfort of knowing someone will always be there, no matter what. And when Keith sings about love now, you can hear it, not as fantasy, not as some dreamy storyline, but as testimony, forever and always. As the credits of their life keep rolling, one thing becomes clear. They didn't just survive Hollywood. They transcended it. They built a life where peace replaced chaos, where gratitude replaced pride, where grace replaced fear. That's rare. That's real. And if you asked them today what keeps them together, they'd probably just smile and answer with something simple. We're still best friends. That's it. No big speech. Just that. Because in the end, it isn't fame or beauty or success that defines love. It's friendship. It's laughter. It's choosing the same soul every single morning, even on the off days. Especially on the off days. And that's the truth. Keith Urban finally admitted what we all low-key suspected all along. That behind the glamour, behind the music, behind every song and every smile, there's a love story so human, so fragile, and yet so strong that it has outlasted everything else. So when the lights fade and the world grows quiet, Keith still reaches for Nicole's hand. And in that small, timeless gesture lies the whole meaning of forever. Because some love stories never end. They simply keep playing softly, endlessly, like the final notes of a song that refuses to fade.